cracking with the gente on YouTube? Thank you guys for tapping back into the channel. Thank you guys for constantly liking the content, leaving comments. Hey man, I love when you guys comment, bro, because you guys bring up a lot of points that I don't bring up in my videos, and you know what I'm saying. And when you guys do, I let you guys know, hey, bro, that's a good point. I probably should have said that. But hey, that's the point of the channel, you know what I'm saying? So that we all learn from each other. But yeah, like I said, before the video gets started, leave a like, leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe, if you haven't already, at least. And yeah, let's get right into the topic of the video. So another good question by a subscriber. I don't want to put the homie's name out there, but I did see that he's from the Tulare County. He's a northerner from Tulare County. So hey, man, you know what I'm saying? I send mine to you. Tulare County, stand up, stand up. But it was a really good question, and I have touched on the topic lightly. Well, no, I made a video about it, about my family being northerners and all that good stuff. But I never really thought about making a video like this because it never really crossed my mind. But he had a really good question saying, or asking, I mean, if at any given time did my northerner family members ever try to embrace me into the norte, basically try to steer me from being an upstater and making me, or trying to make me jump ship. And I thought it was a good one because I'm pretty sure if you are an upstater and you have family members that are northerners, that conversation has been had, no matter who you are. I'm sure, for the most part at least, your family members question you, and not even in a disrespectful way. They just question why, especially if your family are northerners or whatnot. But so yeah, man, let's just get right into the video. And actually, let me just touch real quick. Let me just, give a little summary, I guess, of my family. For the ones that haven't watched the video, I did drop a video about my northerner family members, at least the main ones that were in my life, my 3 uncles. But like I said, just in case you haven't seen that video, I'll summarize it here now. I have 3 uncles that are northerners. They've been in my life for most of my life. In the beginning of it, though, they weren't really around like that, so I was never really in the know, I guess you could say, of what they were. I always knew they were gang members, but I didn't know what they gang banged. I was too young for all that stuff. Like I said, I started affiliating myself with the homies when I was around 10 years old, and obviously at 10 years old, when you're not around gangs, from a baby, you don't know too much. And I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you guys and tell you that I was raised into this, because I wasn't. You guys know, most of you know the story. I had to deal with certain things, and whatever, I took a certain path. So with that being said, like I said, I'd always see my uncles when they would come around, which wasn't very often. They weren't in my life like that. As a kid, as a baby, I guess you could say, as a toddler, none of that. But every time I would see them, I did notice that they had that style. They were gang members. They were dressed the part. They looked the part. They talked the part, obviously, all that good stuff. So it intrigued me, honestly. Even though I wasn't a part of it or nothing like that, it always intrigued me. And I always tried to emulate their style. The way they dressed to me was cool. Like the baby cups with the baggy pants and the crease, and the t-shirts that are, either they were either fitted and they looked clean, or they were, long as hell. All that good stuff, everything. Just any little thing that I could really think of that I thought was cool, I did it. I copied it. But again, I never questioned what they were. None of that. I didn't question any of it, because like I said, my family, we weren't very tight in my childhood, so I was never comfortable enough to ask those questions. It wasn't until I was older that I got comfortable enough to have those conversations with them and all that stuff. But as a kid, I was not scared of them, but I just wasn't comfortable with them, so I didn't know. And I guess just from seeing them is kind of where I gravitated into that lifestyle, just based on just simply the way they were, their mannerisms, all that good stuff, the way they talked, all that. The style was just a plus, like, yeah, basically it was just a plus. So with that being said, um, fast forward to when I was already involved in, I'm saying, in the fuckery basically. My family was getting more involved in my life. Not because of the gangs, it's just my family got a little tighter for whatever reason. I don't remember. I just know there was, or actually I do remember. The older uncle, the OG uncle of the family, he got his own spot, and we started barbecuing, and he would invite us, so we started, going around having fun as a family. So now with the family getting closer, my family started seeing that my style was changing. Obviously, from the last time they had seen me, which, like I said, it wasn't very often that we would see each other. But fast forward to when they did, when we started coming around more, they noticed. Obviously, like everybody knows, the homies have a different style from the Northerners. Well, at least we did back then. Now everything's the same kind of. But they would see me with my Dickies and my Chucks with the little sock. When you would stuff the Converse, all that good stuff with the fat laces. Hey, I know you guys know what I'm talking about. So yeah, my family started realizing that, my uncles did at least, but they never really pressed an issue on it. They just would ask me like, "What's up with that?" And I'd just be like, "Oh, it's my style, whatever." So fast forward, for probation purposes, I had to go to Folsom State Prison for a Scared Straight program. Yes, Folsom State Prison is the one from American Me. So whatever, it wasn't even my choice, but the uniform when I went to Folsom State Prison, as like the visitors or whatever, the ones that were in the Scared Straight program, we had to wear a black T-shirt, brown khaki Dickies, and whatever black shoes. So whatever, I wore my Chucks the way I always do. I wore my Dickies the way I always do, in a black T-shirt, whatever. So whatever the program was, whatever. I went back home. When I went back home, uh, there was a barbecue going on. There was a barbecue going on at my uncle's place. So when I got dropped off back to my place, obviously my parents, all of us, my family, we took off to my uncle's house, and they saw that I was, how I was dressed, and that's when they pressed the issue. They were like, "Hey, what's up with that fool? Like, why are you wearing, what I mean, your Chucks with your Dickies and stuff like that?" They pressed it. And I explained to them that it wasn't even my choice, that I just had to dress like that for that program that I had to do. And whatever, they left it alone. But that already gave them the idea. And from then on, I would get little remarks about how, how it is. The older people always try to get you to not to switch up. I don't want to say they wanted me to switch up, but they did give me like those hard times where I would get clowned on for what I was and whatnot. It wasn't until I got a little bit older where the topic of the video, where they tried to not embrace me. I don't want to say that they ever made me like, or even try to talk me into joining a neighborhood or nothing like that. But it was conversations like, "Why are you this? You're from Northern California. Your family's all Northerners," things like that. So I'm gonna talk about two instances where one of my uncles, he he took me to San Francisco with him one time, and this was the first time I ever hung out with him. Um, like just me and him, and it's the youngest uncle. He's the one that obviously was still pushing that line at the time. He was young, so he took me out with him, and I remember that drive was awkward because I never really talked to him like that on a one-on-one basis. So I remember the car ride. I was even sitting stiff, man. Like the seat, it was all like, I didn't even recline it or nothing. And I remember my uncle was like, "Hey, for you even comfortable, like kick back, you know what I mean? Like you don't gotta be all stiff." And I was like, "No, no, I'm comfortable." But obviously, I just wasn't comfortable around them. So whatever, finally, he started to like, like, "Oh, this song, that song." He started playing music, and I'm just like, "Oh yeah, the Jacka, Mac Dre, whoop de whoop, whatever it was." And I got comfortable, so I reclined my seat a little bit. And on the way back to San Jose, we stopped at In-N-Out. The first time I ever ate In-N-Out, we had this conversation, and he asked me why I became an upstate sureño. So I gave him the whole everything that I had gone through with the certain people that I had issues with, all that good stuff. And I'm not gonna say he didn't understand it because obviously he knows, but his main thing was like, "You're from Northern California. You're not from upstate California." Like he would tell me those things like,
how do you say Northern California in Spanish? And he would say Norte California. So, he was like, you're supposed to bang Norte if you're going to bang anything. And here's the thing, is even at that age, I knew what he was talking about. I knew he made sense, but I'm going to say the exact thing that I told him. I said, look, I'm already in too deep. I already have enemies. I have my homies. If I were to flip-flop, if I were to switch sides right now, I'd be a sucker straight up to everybody. So even if that was on the table, I wouldn't take it. Because like I said, my loyalty was already to my homies and I already had my enemies. So I can't do anything about it. And at that point when I said that, he understood, like, okay, um, there's not much that can really be done. At that point, it's a wrap. You can be a school banger all you want, and you know what I'm saying. I've seen it plenty of times where fools in school are banging one thing, next week they're banging the whole opposite, and that's whatever. You know what I mean? They don't get no love, but it's doable. But when you're on a street level where you're kicking it with the homies in neighborhoods and stuff like that, you're more known in the city, so you're stuck at that point. And I had to make him understand that. So that was one instance where he tried to, not make me switch sides or anything like that, but he told me if I was gonna bang anything, I at least go with the family side. So this is the other instance. So the other instance was with my uncle, man. My uncle, rest in peace. Before he passed, obviously, way before he passed, because when more recent to his passing, he was okay with what I was. He was fine with it. He even came to terms with, like, even he knew some of my homies and they knew him too. So he would, I'm not gonna say he would hang out with the homies, but he had a certain rapport where he was able to see them and it would just be like a head nod and it was all good. But with his, it was more like, so let's say we had a conversation. He picked me up to eat one time, and during that conversation while eating, it was fine. Everything was cool. We were just talking about random things. And then, when somebody's gonna talk to you about a certain thing, you feel it. Like, something is coming. And the thing is that I knew something was coming, but I didn't know what. And then he hit me with the same thing. Like, what's up, fool? Like, when are you gonna stop your BS and you know what I'm saying? Like, be on the family side. And I was like, what do you mean? Obviously I knew what he meant, but that's what, he was trying to get at without being too straightforward about it. He was like, when are you gonna, like, join the family, basically? Like, you're from Northern California, your family are Northerners. There's only about two, maybe three homies in the family. As far as upstaters, there's only, I want to say two, maybe three. The other one is kind of like, flip-floppy, whatever. But obviously, he got into that conversation with me. And again, I told him the same thing as my other uncle. I let him know everything the same that I told my other uncle. I let him know the exact same thing. Only that my uncle he was a nut, man. So he was like, well, if that's the case, fool, like, every time I see you with your homies, like, I'm gonna take off on your homies and I'm gonna make them hate you, because every time you're hanging out with them, they're gonna know that if I see them, I'm gonna take flight on them. So he took that like that man, I can't think of the word, so now I'm gonna feel like an idiot. But he basically went that route. He was like, hey, bro, like, it's either you're gonna like, by option, by choice, you're gonna, join the family, or I'm gonna make you join the family. And obviously nothing like that ever occurred. Everything was fine. It was just like a conversation. Maybe he tried to, like, put that in my head, but never was it to an extent where anything ever happened, where anything ever got physical. Nothing ever happened to where, like, I was like, damn, man, my family doesn't accept me, things like that. Like, I have had little, not altercations, but little, like, arguments where some things have been said that I don't even take to heart, man. That's my family at the end of the day, and I got love for my family no matter what. If you know me, you've seen me in public with them too. I don't even care. You know what I mean? Like I said, my family's my family, and family's first. But so yeah, those are the only two instances where anybody in my family ever tried to get me to switch sides. But like I said, it was never serious enough to where they were like, oh yeah, go get jumped into my neighborhood or go kick it with my homies. Nothing like that. It was just more so, if you're gonna bang, bang with the family bangs. And I was just like, nah, I'm already what I am. There's no switching sides, nothing like that. It is what it is. I still got my family's back. My family has my back. And, you know, that's really all it is, bro. That's all I could really say about this. So I hope this answered your question, right, my boy? I know in the second half of the video my voice got a little weird, but it's because I ate like a little jalapeno thing, and man, my throat is killing me right now. But yeah, man, that's all I really got to say about that. No, I was never embraced into anything like that. I never even got put in the position where I had to be like, oh man, like it's either one or the other. Like, nah, they never put me in that I can't talk right now, man. What the hell? That ultimatum. I had to stop recording and think hard because I know I was gonna look like a that brain fart was crazy. But yeah, I never got put in that ultimatum where I had to choose between my family and anything else. My family always respected what I was doing to a certain extent. Obviously, they didn't like it because they're from one side, so they weren't cool with it. But in time, they learned that it is what it is. I'm gonna do what I do, and like I said in my video with my, you know, where I talked about my family being Northerners. We all know the boundaries and all that stuff. We don't ever talk smack to each other, or even get into each other's business when it comes to that life. And honestly, that's the best way to go about it. So that's the end of the video, man. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for your time. Leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know your experiences, all that good stuff. If any of that, if you have any family members that are Southerners and you're a Northerner, let me know, and vice versa. Let me know how that is for you guys. So with that being said, man, the goal is to make it out the hood, not stay in it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. And I'm out.